What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome back. I'm Rick, and today we're going to take a look at a podcast about Billy Carson's newest business venture into psychedelics and the wellness retreat industry. Psychedelics have three major properties that have made them very popular in the last few years. The ability to heal trauma and alleviate the symptoms of crippling mental health issues, often related to past trauma. And they have the ability to radically transform and grow you spiritually in ways that feel permanent and life-changing. I myself got into psychedelics for those two reasons, and I remain here because I want to help lead others towards the same peace and healing and enlightenment that I've found. And then there's the third reason why psychedelics are so popular: the almighty dollar. Money. There is a ton of money to be made in psychedelics. I did all of this healing and spiritual growth on my own with mushrooms I had grown myself or sacraments that I had made myself at home, so I never spent a single dime on ceremonies or psychedelic therapists or shamans or retreats or integration therapists or microdoses or any of it. But there are a ton of people out there spending a shit ton of money on all of that stuff. Enter Billy Carson and crew. Billy Carson is a grifter and a fraud and a con man that has already generated a small fortune selling New Age woo and ancient alien pseudo-history and self-help garbage and UFO slop and supplemental snake oil and courses and tours to the gullible masses. Basically, you can pay your hard-earned dollars to go on a regular trip to see the temples and monuments from ancient Egypt, and you can actually learn something, or you can pay Billy Carson a butt ton of money for him to take you to those same places, but that's so he can fill your head with total BS about aliens and Tesla technology and higher vibration consciousness, and his psychedelic retreats will be the exact same type of bullshit. And undoubtedly, this bullshit will cost you a pretty penny. This is why Billy Carson has set his gaze upon psychedelics. He has tried psychedelics one time, according to the information in this podcast, and that one time was apparently so mind-blowing that he now feels compelled to share this enlightenment with the rest of the world, and hopefully make a shit ton of money in the process. Oh, I love that clip. Well worth the time to assemble all those free sound effects. I will be playing it every time one of these greedy bozos mentions the real reason they're here: money. Let's begin.
And to put this all together to allow people then to have these experiences for themselves, and that's what it's about. We're here to offer these amazing opportunities, and I think between us we just have such wonderful assets to be able to bring to this collaboration.
I'm sorry, I put that clip in just to chuckle at this silly intro. Why do these people always need to find the goofiest B-roll footage to throw into the mix? Why the tango music? Why the soaking wet dude getting punched in the face? Or the lady in the Shakespeare getup from the 16th century? Or sexy bubble lady? So weird. Okay, let's start for real. So Billy Carson and his crew have put together a business venture called Psychedelic Inc., which is cannabis spelled backwards. Brilliant marketing, guys. We have David Mirsky, a former attorney turned entrepreneur, and we have William Henry, the alternative historian and UFO nut from the Ancient Aliens show. Mirsky sums up the general idea in this intro he gives.
Okay, hey, I'm David Mirsky. I'm an attorney by trade, currently the CEO of Psychedelic Inc., which is this public company trading as SNNC on OTC markets. And Psychedelic is now fully embedded in the consciousness space, and I'm extremely happy to have established these new relationships with William Henry and Billy Carson here, where we're going to be exploring consciousness in a number of different ways, specifically through travel and extending the travel industry through psychedelic medicine retreats, and to bring that into the company and to be able to offer that into the world. So it's a really exciting time, and I'm happy to be involved with you both.
Beautiful.
Fully embedded in the consciousness space, huh? Well, you certainly have the cliched buzzwords part down. What the hell does that even mean? Anyways, I found this other clip of Mirsky where he gives a slightly more revealing breakdown of his broader vision for the future of Psychedelic Inc. Sorry, the audio in this clip is a little screwy.
The wellness tourism space is exploding. I mean, estimated to be up to $2 trillion, like within the next 5 to 10 years or less. And plant medicine journeys are going to comprise a significant segment of that. So the Starwalker Cafe, where we're signing on members right now, is tapping into the core aliens audience from the show.
Yeah.
And we've identified about 5 million fans that are direct fans, and these are fans of the show and you. There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
And we estimate that maybe up to 20% of these people are interested in taking plant medicine journeys, having these type of experiences. So that's something that we can extend and get into. And really, there's no other company that's looking to do that at this point. So I think by the time that these start to come on and gain more popularity, we're already going to have a strong foothold. And I think the company is really excited to tap into your unbelievable platform and following and the reputation that you have in the space to be able to put this opportunity in front of people, to be able to take them to places all over the world, give them 5-star experiences. And, we're looking at Costa Rica now. We're looking at Mexico, where the plant medicine laws are lenient, and so where we can offer these experiences legally, very safely, but to the premium traveler.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, they had some corporate bean counters crunch the numbers, and they figure if the Ancient Aliens show can blow up huge, and guys like Billy Carson can generate this huge platform with millions of idiots shelling out millions of dollars to hear Billy crank on about the Matrix or the Anunnaki or magical Tesla technology, then by their estimation, at least 20% of these idiots would also be willing to shell out the big bucks for one of these Psychedelic retreats, or whatever other consciousness expanding snake oil and elixirs and wellness scams that these guys plan on selling. So that's the business model. Let's hear these dudes pitch it to the public. William Henry has a story about smoking changa. The floor is all yours, buddy. Take it away.
I see this throne. And I realized this is an Egyptian ascension throne. I've studied these things for 20 years. I know what it is, but this one was full of stars. And I'm like, of course they're full of stars. On Earth, they're showed as feathered because they fly, but yeah, it's made of star material. And then there is this mermaid on the throne. I see a mermaid's tail. It's very feminine, and she starts to speak to me. And she says, William, your work with the star boats in ancient Egypt, the Ark of the Millions of Years, which I identified as a wormhole, she said, that's beautiful. And I'm like, well, but thank you. And how do you know about that? Wow. And she just continues, said, no, it's beautiful. And then she said, you know that there's a particular photo as I was trying to get in the Cairo Museum. It's my Starwalker logo now. It shows Orion or Sahu on the Ark of the Millions of Years with this resurrection staff in his hand holding a star. And she says, you know that image, that one I just described? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, that's you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've spent my whole life studying this. She said, no, William, that's you.
Look, I'm not really one to comment on the things that people see while they're on psychedelics or how they decide to interpret those visions. I've seen as much crazy shit as any other seasoned veteran psychonaut, and I'm sure a lot of it would sound just as crazy as Homeboy's mermaid on a throne story here. But this story is a little fishy though, pun intended. We'll let him finish up and then I'll tell you why it feels forced and inauthentic.
And long story short, this encounter inspires my whole Starwalker Cafe idea. And eventually she says, look, I want you to put a Starwalker Cafe across the street from every Starbucks in the world. Wow. Because This is what people need right now. They don't need that crap coffee. They don't need the crap food. They need higher consciousness food. They need elixirs. They need all of this. And I'm thinking,
Well, that certainly is some story. I've smoked changa many times and I've never had anything even remotely like this happen to me. I'm one of those people where I don't see the entities. I certainly don't have conversations with other beings while I'm on DMT. I've been making my own DMT and Syrian root extract at home for years now and still no entities. And I kinda hate that within the community I hear people say things like you truly haven't experienced DMT until you've talked to the entities. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. And the people most likely to crank on about entities were already UFO nuts. There's this huge crossover now between the UFO community and the psychedelic community because people think they're talking to aliens or gods or something. Anyways, hasn't happened to me. That rant's over. Now back to William Henry. I tried to understand what the hell this guy was talking about and it drove me bonkers. Starboats and wormholes and flying chairs and the arc of millions years. It's just meaningless babble that only sounds cool if you're into alien stuff, I guess. What he's really trying to do is validate himself. He goes to an Egyptian temple and this mermaid says, "Your lifetime of making up all the alien stories about ancient Egypt is so beautiful and important and meaningful." Sure, dude. Did she also tell you that you have a 12-inch dong and you can do 1,000,000 push-ups? And she wants you to start a company to outcompete Starbucks. But instead of coffee, you'll be selling higher consciousness foods and elixirs. What the hell does that even mean? And how is it going to outcompete coffee? I mean, people really like coffee, especially in the morning. So, yeah, good luck with that one, pal. It's pretty obvious that David Mirsky is trying to pitch this company to normies and not just alien nut jobs, so he kind of tries to rein in the madness a bit.
So when you start to tell this story, it doesn't make any logical sense, and we just have to let it go to the divine inspiration, intervention, and the timing of it, as you guys have referred to, because we are in this psychedelic renaissance where laws are changing, people are awakening, they're beginning to question. And I think we're here to lend our experiences, knowledge, things we've accumulated over the years, and to put this all together to allow people then to have these experiences for themselves. And
Billy Carson only has one psychedelic experience under his belt, and apparently he didn't get the memo that you're allowed to make up any old BS you want about speaking to gods and higher beings while you're tripping, so he has to fall back on his same old script, and Mirsky just said the magic words, "People are waking up," and Carson sure does have a mouthful to say about all that.
Yeah, I love it. And a perfect time for this, heading into the age of Aquarius right now. It's a complete shift. Our galaxy is amazing because even though it's a disk, it's very, very thick. It's a disk that's light years thick, and our solar system undulates up and down the galactic plane as it goes around the supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy. And as it undulates up and down over hundreds of thousands of years, it reaches at some point that direct point, that direct equator point, equatorial point. And right now, our solar system is directly at the equatorial point, directly aligned with the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And all those high energy charged particles are streaming directly towards us. And in my opinion, those particles, which we know penetrate even the human body, are even penetrating and directly even affecting the DNA. This is part of the great cycle, the great year cycle. We're all in some way right now headed into this this time where there's going to be a great awakening. And however, the majority of the planet right now is actually moving towards a new state of consciousness. And once we get to that particular number of ascended minds, the shift is going to go global. So we're really close. I'm really excited to be around right now, to be one of the people helping to support mankind and humanity move into that new era, to bring tours to ancient sites so we can begin to wipe away the amnesia, to go to, bring people to retreats and not only have them do the psychedelics, but also help them integrate afterwards and help them understand the experiences and take that forward with them and look forward maybe to the next journey, you know?
Yes, it's a great time to be alive because all those people waking up and all those ascending minds like to spend money. And Billy Carson has become extremely wealthy by pitching this stuff to gullible dreamers that think they're part of this big movement in this global shift in consciousness. I used to be really into this new age scene, and people have been saying this for decades now. Oh, we're entering this new age. People are waking up. Back in my day, the Mayan calendar was all the rage, and everyone thought that in the year 2012 there was going to be this huge global shift in consciousness, and it never happened. So this Great Awakening nonsense is a scam that has made Billy Carson very rich. And he is right about our solar system's motion through the Milky Way, but I looked it up and he's off by about 30,000 years before we pass through the center again. And it's undulates, not ondulates. But still, I'm not seeing it, man. It seems like for every one person that wakes up, another 100 go back to sleep. I said it before and I'll say it again. Look around, people. This global shift in consciousness ain't coming. Anyway, poor David Mirsky tries to steer this back to a more normie-oriented conversation, and about right on time, William Henry steers it right back to the aliens again.
It's a great opportunity for us with all of the threats that we're seeing to be able to recognize that we are all one people. And if we can begin to realize this on this ascension process, it's just a wonderful time to take advantage of these medicines.
Absolutely. Let me say, why us? Why would someone want to come into our circle or sphere and investigate or go down this path? Well, the answer for me is this, that when I started to get into this space, I would interview people that have had these incredible experiences, whether with ayahuasca, psilocybin, whatever it is. And I started to notice they were having incredible encounters with beings that I have studied my whole life, but they didn't know who they were. Yeah. They would say, oh, well, I entered into this space and there was this green-faced god and he was in a garden and he was tending this giant cannabis plant. And I'm like, could this be Osiris in the Egyptian tradition? And you talk with them, yeah, that's what it was. And so that's what really inspired me to get into the space. I saw this need that, wow, people are encountering light beings, angels, Anunnaki, Egyptian gods. The Egyptian gods are practically the chamber of commerce of the psychedelic world. And when you're in the temples, that's all you're seeing is give and take. The gods are saying, here, take this plant. Here, try this plant. See me. Now you can talk to me. And the humans are going, yeah, okay. I mean, it's constant in the temples because these molecules, these plants are the gift of the gods. Mm-hmm. And if humans decide, oh, we don't want that gift, it's going to lead to what we've experienced the past several thousand years.
Yeah.
Billy Carson jumps in to tell his UFO origin story as if it matters. Watch Mirsky's face. That's why I put in this whole clip. It's hilarious. Mirsky's whole business model is dependent on bringing Carson's audience into the fold, but you can tell he kind of hates it and thinks these guys are full of shit with all this UFO stuff. But he has to just nod along and go with the flow. Seriously, keep an eye on Mirsky's face while Billy Carson tells this story. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've come a very long way. I mean, I remember 1977. That's the first time I had any experience. I was 7 years old in my backyard in Miami, Florida. And I'm looking up this one day and I see this object go across the horizon and clear the horizon in seconds, not minutes. And I'm like, what was that? It didn't have wings. It didn't have a tail, no cockpit, no windows or anything. It just went straight across. But then it came back and stopped, but much lower, still about maybe now I can estimate about 90 to 100 meters above my head, completely silent like an elongated egg. Glowing metal, and then it went, phew, it was just gone again. Wow. I ran in the house and I told my mom, and she said, this is in the 70s. She said, son, there were advanced beings on this planet in ancient times. They used to live on the tops of mountains, and you need to go to Machu Picchu, which is why I dedicated my first book to my mom and put a picture of Machu Picchu in the dedication section. And eventually, now I've been on hundreds of TV shows talking about this stuff. And now even psychedelics have become accepted within this, which directly connects to these beings, which is incredible. So I saw it go from, like a good blue chip stock, just kind of over the years. And here we are now where we can actually, take people to ancient sites. We can openly talk about beings from other worlds. We can talk about the psychedelics openly. We can take people through an actual retreat process and integration. The world is changing. And for people who don't think the world is changing in a positive way, you just got to look at what I just said and realize how far we've come. And only, I'm 54 now, so that would have been probably now 48 years. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, the micro expressions do not lie. You can tell that Mirsky just ain't buying this alien shit. Well, damn. Not a fan of his big vision to get rich off of psychedelics, but the dude is kind of growing on me for some reason. And then William Henry steps in to remind us all once again why we are here.
And another thing that's changing, of course, is the business environment. And the psychedelic space offers an amazing entree into a new type of business, one that's based on more like self-care rather than trying to fix people. And what I've noticed and what was intriguing to me, and one reason I was so excited to meet David is, the forecast for the psychedelic space, they expect it to be around a $50 billion a year industry within 5 years. And the participants envision a time where people will no longer be drinking beer and alcohol. They're going to seek consciousness expanding molecules and products, things that actually do something for you instead of tear you down.
$50 billion a year, and these lads plan on snatching up as much of it as they can. And then Henry goes full tinfoil hat. This new age stuff requires that you convince people that the powers that be are hell-bent on keeping you from discovering your true spiritual nature. There's gatekeepers and institutions and Rockefeller lizard people all trying to distract you with the material world and suppress this super secret hidden knowledge. You better watch this video quick before the man deletes it, because this is the super secret spiritual wisdom that the man doesn't want you to know about. And I'll be like, oh really? Well, where did you hear about it? YouTube. Freaking idiots, man.
The ancients didn't have an FDA telling them what they could or could not do with their consciousness. And they were very attuned to the natural world. And whether it's the biblical stories of Moses with the manna in the wilderness, the angel food or star food, or the original Christian sacrament, the bread and wine, were both psychotropic. There's no question about that from a purely academic perspective. What you've got are gatekeepers that are trying to keep us from entering the promised land, literally. And I'm not saying psychedelics are the only way to enter that gate, but it is true that this is what the ancients were doing. And it's now coming back in our world for a very profound spiritual purpose.
This dude wouldn't know what a purely academic standpoint was if it jumped up off the ground and bit off his little pecker. I love how they don't realize that they're also saying that most of the stuff I say is unreliable nonsense I either heard somewhere or I made up. But this one thing has totally been thoroughly vetted. And of course, it's a total lie. Nobody in academia says any of that stuff. Maybe a few fringe authors here and there, but definitely not the mainstream consensus. And there's some horse shit I want to clear up right now. The FDA does not tell you what to do with your consciousness. They used to keep bacteria and rat turds from getting into whatever it is you're having for breakfast, but thanks to Project 2025, that's no longer a top priority. They used to keep untested or potentially dangerous medication from killing people. They do not tell you what to do with your consciousness. The drugs in FDA refers to medical treatment. Stuff like aspirin or antidepressants or cancer treatment or pain management. They determine the efficacy of stuff like that, or else anyone could put any old thing out on the market, whether it was safe or not, or actually did the thing it's supposed to do. Did you mean DEA? They're the ones that handle the psychedelic stuff, and of course they've been needlessly prohibited. Yet everyone here has managed to do them anyway. Who amongst us would get their mitts on a big bag of mushrooms and say, I can't because the FDA hasn't approved these. Oh geez, if only I lived in ancient Egypt, then I could eat these mushrooms. Damn, these guys drive me nuts. So William Henry has one more brilliant business proposal. Let's hear him out.
For 1935, only 7% of the American population brushed their teeth as a daily ritual.
Goodness.
And then the guy comes along from Pepsi and says, wait a minute, I think people should brush their teeth every day as a daily ritual. And it caught on. And within a decade, over 65% of the American population started brushing their teeth as a daily ritual. And they had $1 billion business on their hands. And I'm like, I want to be the guy that works with Psychedelic to say, let's wash our robe of light, a daily ritual, which means it can be microdosing. It can be utilizing visualizations, meditations, but it's a focus on recognizing there's a tremendous power within us that we ignore, just like people didn't brush their teeth. But once we become aware of this inner light in this garment of light, now we want to take care of it. And that's in part my aim with Psychedelic, is to help educate people about this robe of light and also how to care for it through these products that we're talking about.
That makes about as much sense as spending money on some fancy metaphysical toothpaste to brush your metaphysical teeth. I mean, I can hold a goddamn bar of soap, and I know it's working because my armpits and my ass don't stink no more. How the hell are you supposed to know when your robe of light is clean? Man, this is some serious BS. Oh, welcome to the Starwalker Cafe. Here's your microdose with a side of visualizations. This will have the ass crack of your light robe smelling just like Irish Spring. Really think about what this guy is pitching here. He has mentioned replacing beer and alcohol and coffee and compared his Starwalker Cafe to a business with the potential to rake in the same kind of billions that toothpaste does, and he's going to put one of these cafes across the street from every Starbucks in the world to sell the average Joe higher consciousness molecules, elixirs, ideas, and products so they can get in the daily habit of washing the bad vibes off an invisible light robe that exists in a higher dimension, all so they can realize their true power? Sure, dude. I'm guessing most of the money from Psychedelic Inc. will probably come from the 5-star retreats. This is the kind of idea that an 8-year-old would come up with. Oh, one day I'm gonna invent a car that runs on rainbows and wishes and laughter and farts. Alright folks, I think that's a good place to leave it for today. And I really do encourage people to do psychedelics and enjoy opening up that ceremonial and ancient region of the brain that makes you feel like you've entered the realm of the gods. But it's not something you can force. It's not as simple as I'm going to smoke this DMT and talk to these elves, or I'm going to do these mushrooms and talk to the god Osiris. Revelations come when ready, not when requested. Psychedelics show you what you're ready to be shown in that moment. It's not something you can just demand from the universe. Try to force it, and you're likely to find yourself wondering where it all went wrong. Alright y'all, peace out. See you next time.
I've seen it, he's reached perfection.